Hey girls, hey. Hey boys, hey. All right, I just researched and got updated on the Patrick Frazee trial and what happened this morning. Sorry. And I want to just give you guys some quick updates. Krystal testified today, you guys. She started by talking about their timeline of their relationship, and she was talking about how they met and how that she was pregnant. So that rumor was true that she was pregnant. And I took some notes of what we know so far, and I am going to keep looking for an update. The last update we had was 2 hours ago. And so I'm just going to look while nobody is on. This was updated at 12 o'clock today, but that was yesterday. All right, so what we know right now, let's just go ahead and get started. Can you see and hear me okay? I have one viewer. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Or is it just audio? Is it just audio? Oh, don't have a viewer anymore. Okay. All right, well, I'll just get started like I'm recording a video. Krystal took the stand today, and she said that she met Patrick at a Teller County dance and they fell in love, and that they had dated and had a complicated relationship for 13 years. So this tumultuous relationship went on between Krystal and Patrick for 13 years. And so she was only 20 years old when she met Patrick at this dance, and she just thought that he was so handsome and just the best thing since sliced bread, and they danced and she was just smitten. And she cried on the stand today, describing the handsome Patrick and that he treated her poorly. But she says she still loved him even after she got married, and that their affair, according to Kenny, began in 2015. And she says that she later got pregnant with his child while she was still married to Chad. So she goes into that, and she said she thought that they were going to be a family when she got pregnant. And she states that Patrick told her that she was that one that got away. So she was the love of his life, and she just happened to be the one that got away. And she met Patrick, like I said, when she was just 20 years old at the dance. I don't know what dances 20-year-olds go to, but I thought that was a high school thing. Or, if this is a normal thing in your community, let me know. But what kind of dance does a 20-year-old go to? You mean you met him at a bar or at a line dancing place, or I don't understand the Teller County dance. Does your county have dances that 20-year-olds go to? I just always thought this was something you did in high school. She said that they dated for months after that, and that she was driving from Idaho to Colorado on the weekends. But there were times that Patrick would just disappear for 4 or 5 days and would have no contact with her. And when she would go there, there would be times that he was super cold on these visits. She said that they broke up in August of 2007, but they stayed friends. And in 2008, she drove down to get a puppy from him, and he gave it to her. And then he told her that she needed to choose between the guy that she was dating. This was before she got married to him. They were just boyfriend and girlfriend, and his name was Chad. And Patrick told her when he gave her the dog that you need to choose between me or Chad. And she says that she chose Chad. And because she kept dating Chad, she said Patrick wanted the dog back or money for it, that he didn't want to give it to her no longer, that he wanted her to pay him for the dog, and that he wanted the dog back if she didn't. And so she says that she refused, and he threatened to come down to Idaho from Colorado and to kill the dog. So that should have been your first red flag. They always say that serial killers or murderers or whatever, they end up hurting animals first. And so definitely should have known that he was a psycho when he was threatening to kill a dog over him not getting his way. Like, why take it out on the dog? So she was not thinking clearly at all. So she said that they broke ties and did not speak after that until the day that before she married Chad, she got a voicemail from Patrick that allegedly said that he was begging her to come back to him and to not marry Chad. So she's saying that they didn't talk after the dog incident, and that all of a sudden he knew she was getting married, and all of a sudden just called her randomly out the blue the day before she got married and told her not to do it. But of course, we all know that she got married anyway. But she did say that even when she got married, her heart was with Patrick. Then they reconnected in 2015 after she was having issues in her marriage, and she reignited the flames with Patrick in 2015. She said that that they picked up right where they left off. That they picked up like nothing had ever changed, and that everything was fine. Like he never threatened to kill her dog or anything. So she sounds as delusional as he does. She said that what else did she say? In March of 2016, that's when she got pregnant, and Patrick made her have an abortion because he told her that, I guess you're a baby killer or you're not. But she had expected him to be excited. She thought they were going to be a family and have this baby together and all of that. And he ended up telling her, his response was, I guess you're a baby killer or you're not. Like he didn't really care either way, whether she had it or not. And so she said that made her have an abortion. She said that he hid the fact that he had a fiance and a child, or even a girlfriend, while they were dating, and that the whole time they kept seeing each other, and that she found out about Kelsey and the baby through a former boss, and not through Patrick, that Patrick never told her, and that she was floored that her mouth dropped open and hit the ground when she found out that he had a fiance and a baby from this former boss of hers. And she says that she never told him that she knew. So I think that is when they left for recess. And so I got to find out what happened after that, because the only thing that has been posted was for 2 hours ago. So let me just check and see if there's something else going to come up for Patrick, because all of those statements was her on the stand this morning and not what was said after recess. Now, I think that maybe it might be 3 hours earlier there, maybe where they're at in Colorado, or at least 2. So there should be a lot more coming out. Let me click the news. And 3 hours ago, 2 hours ago, yes, that's all that we have for now. But remember, I was going through what they found in the search warrants when they went in and through her apartment. So what happened is the police found nothing the first time. The canine cadaver dogs found nothing when they went, and then the brother and mother found the blood on the toilet, and so they went back. They used luminol. They found blood all over the apartment. They knew that that was the crime scene, and then they found a neighbor that had surveillance of Kelsey's door, this surveillance was 15 feet or 16 feet away from her door. So it caught Patrick and Kelsey and the baby going in on Thanksgiving around 1:30, and then it only caught Patrick coming out, and it caught him 11 different times. And this is what they spoke on in court yesterday. The prosecutors said that it shows that he was taking her body out, and then the defense said that the camera never showed the totes. So then in this report that I'm reading, we're at the point where the police are finding out that there are actually video of them coming in and out of the apartment. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Stephen, Remy. Thank you, Lahana. I'm sorry if I butcher anybody's names. So while speaking with Jackson Corporal Koski, he wrote in his report, while speaking with Leslie, this is her neighbor, he learned that video cameras are manufactured by a Netgear company and a video is stored on a cloud server. The videos are only saved for 7 days prior unless the user manually downloads them. Leslie did not have any downloaded saved videos from November 22nd, 2018 to today. Her videos went back to this November 29th. So when they finally found that footage, it only had 7 days prior. And we're talking on December 7th. So it would only go back to November 29th. So they had found this evidence just a little too late for that camera. I received every available video on her system and her cell phone and did not find much evidentiary value in them. Other than someone dropping a package off on Kelsey's front porch, it appears to be the UPS driver on December 1st at 3:20, and then an elderly male picking the package up on December 3rd at 8:01. The elderly male is wearing a light green ball cap, medium dark green heavy winter coat, black belt with a brown cell phone carrier on his left hip, and light blue jeans. The man has a white hair and white beard and mustache. He appears to pick up a box and then read a yellow notice hanging from the doorknob. On December 7th, the following search warrant applicants were submitted to the honorable judge. They were asking for Patrick's Verizon account records, Patrick's physical phone downloads, and an order for non-testimonial identification for Patrick to provide full body surface photos and buccal swabs of saliva. And so they wanted his everything about Patrick at that point. So the judge did sign off on those, and on December 10th, Detective McDaniel retrieved the records regarding the cell phone dump of Patrick's cell phone. On 12/10, we received Verizon calls and phone records, which for Patrick's phone number. We also sent the files received from Verizon to CBI agent Torres, who passed it on to FBI agent Kevin and the cellular analysis team. The male that picked up the package from Kelsey's residence was identified as Robert Slagle, 8/21. Oh, that's his birthday. The identification was made by CBI agent Slater on Monday, December 12th, while a press conference was being completed at the Woodland Park Hall. While at the press conference, the unknown male was standing in the back of the city council chambers with an unknown elderly female, I think, with silver gray hair. As the male and female walked out of the conference, Agent Slater contacted them. After identifying himself to the couple and the nature of the contact, the male identified himself as Robert Slagle. The female was identified as Elaine. Agent Slater informed me that Slagle identified himself as Patrick's best friend and father figure, stating that he had known Patrick for 35 years. Although he could not recall the specific date, Slagle confirmed he picked up the package from Kelsey's home on either Monday, December 3rd or Tuesday, December 4th. When asked how he knew the package was at Kelsey's, Slagle politely refused to respond, stating Patrick had dropped off a work vehicle at, let's see. Slagle politely refused to respond, stating that he, Patrick, had dropped off a work vehicle at 4 Mile in downtown Woodland Park and needed a ride back home. Slagle stated Patrick asked him to pick him up. Slagle compiled to the request, picked Patrick up from 4 Mile, and drove directly to Kelsey's home. Upon arriving, Slagle stated he instructed Patrick to remain in the vehicle while he went to the front door and retrieved the package. Slagle further reported he was aware of the surveillance camera near Kelsey's residence and said he did not want Patrick seen on the surveillance after retrieving the package. Slagle reported he and Patrick left the area. So why was Patrick even over there on that day getting that package? I don't understand. Was he trying to make it look like she wasn't disappeared? So they went, let's see what day they went. On the 3rd. So this was before her mom had reported her missing. And so I guess that Patrick was like, man, people are going to notice that she's gone if that package is still sitting out there. And so why would his best friend drive with him over there and get that package? Wonder why. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. All right, so Agent Slater advised me that Slagle stated Patrick was not involved in the disappearance of Kelsey. There is more to the story than is being reported. However, he, Slagle, would not elaborate further. Kelsey was on the verge of being terminated from her employee, and that Kelsey stayed at the Seventh-day Adventist treatment program in California was not for a sleep disorder, but was for something different, and that law enforcement needed to look into that more. Slagle further suggested law enforcement needed to look into a former boyfriend of Kelsey's. He, Slagle, identified as Eric and a pilot for Southwest Airlines. Although asked, Slagle refused to provide details to the previously mentioned information. So it sounds like that he has gotten this Slagle guy to jump in on this with him and help him cover his tracks, and that this Slagle guy either believes he's guilty and is helping him get away with it, or he believes he's innocent and he has made him feel like that he didn't do it. So that's crazy. I did not know any of this. And I can't wait to find out what happened in court with the rest of Krystal's testimony. And you guys will find out when I do. I promise you that. But there is a lot of juicy information in here. Let's get back. Prior to concluding their conversation, Agent Slater asked Slagle what his thoughts were to what happened to Kelsey and where Kelsey was. Slagle stated he did not know where Kelsey was, but suggested she did this on her own. Slagle did not elaborate, and the conversation concluded. So this best friend is already trying to slander Kelsey's name, saying that she was on the verge of being fired and that she didn't go to the rehab center, the 7-day Adventist rehab center for a sleep disorder, that it was something else, and that law enforcement needs to look into this, and blah, 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 blah. Sounds like another Cindy, doesn't it? So he says, following an initial review of the call detail records provided by Verizon, FBI Specialist Agent Kevin provided an analysis regarding the approximate locations of both Kelsey's phones and Patrick's phone. On 11/22 at 12:31 p.m., Kelsey's phone received a call from Patrick's phone, and at 12:33 p.m., Kelsey returns a call to Patrick. The connection for these calls for both of their phones were carried through the Verizon tower located southwest of Kelsey's residence. More specifically, the call utilized the sector of that tower which faces Kelsey's residence. The following image represents the mapping of these calls. At 4:24, Patrick's phone utilized the same tower and sector as shown above, and at 4:37, he used the same tower, but east-facing sector. So at 4:43, Patrick's phone received a call back from a 208 number utilizing a tower west of this area near Divide, Colorado, with a sector facing west of Route 24. This phone call lasted for 141 seconds. At 4:50, Patrick called that 208 number again, which lasted for 251 seconds. Verizon was also able to capture distance from the tower measurements known within Verizon as RTT data for both Kelsey and Patrick's phones around this time. That information is depicted below. Patrick's phone is 1.26 miles from the cell tower at 4:49 p.m., while Kelsey's phone is approximately 0.44 miles away from the tower at 4:50 p.m. When reviewing the data, it is in conjunction with the previous locations of the cell phones by both phones, and it would support the idea of both Patrick and Kelsey's phones moving from the area of her residence towards the area of Patrick's residence. Oh, I hope this does eat him up. I hope they have enough evidence to eat him up. Yes, yes, he did. And he also said that he wasn't there that day, that he was, or that he was only there to pick up his daughter midday. He never mentioned being there at 4:30. And his best friend didn't even want him to get out on December 3rd when they went over there to pick up the package because he didn't want him seen on that footage. So he was worried about that footage. Due to the timing of when the search warrants were issued, only a portion of the RTT records were captured. RTT data is only retained for 8 days for most of the connection on the Verizon network. For up to 30 days, only failed sessions or dropped attempts are recorded by the network, and it's not a complete view of all the phone activity. In this instance, all of the RTT data shown from 11:22 through 11:25 at approximately 3:30 local time for Kelsey's phone reflects these failed attempts. All of the RTT data for Patrick's phone through 11:25 would reflect the failed attempts. One example of a failed attempt would be a phone trying to make or receive a call in an area with poor cellular network coverage. Following the connection shown above, there is no activity for either phone until RTT data records connections for Patrick's phone at 9:54 p.m. on 11/22, approximately 9 miles north of Cripple Creek. Subsequent connections for his phone indicate it is moving south in the direction of Cripple Creek. At 10:03, RTD data shows Kelsey's phone along the arc shown. At 10:05, Patrick's phone is recording along the RTT are shown. So basically, they're both going in the same direction. When factoring in the small time frame of the 2 minutes between records, along with the remote nature of the area, the location where the two arcs overlap is an indicative of both phones being together at the same time. Yes, like I just said. Further mapping of the RTT data during this time period show both phones heading farther west away from Cripple Creek, with activity appearing to cease at 10:15 before reappearing at 10:48, with RTT arcs near where it last had ceased. The investigation identified Robert Slagle as an associate of Patrick who lives west of this area in Gaffney, Colorado. Oh, Slagle's probably in on it. Since only RTT activity at this time reflects unsuccessful connection attempts, when factoring in the small time frame of 2 minutes between records, along with the remote nature of the area, the location where the two arcs overlap is indicative of both phones being together at the same time. Further mapping of RTT data during this time period shows both phones heading farther west away from Cripple Creek, with activity appearing to cease at 10:15 before reappearing at 10:48. So, oh, I read the same thing. I'm so sorry. So, since the only RTE activity at this time reflects unsuccessful connections, it's possible that there would be no record of the phone's final destination if that destination was properly served by Verizon towers, since the records for successful connections were no longer available. Both phones then have RTT hits heading back east towards Cripple Creek, then north towards Patrick's residence. The last record is at 11:11 from Patrick's phone 3 miles south of the tower, just south of his residence in Florissant. There is nothing in the records to indicate that the two phones were ever in a separate area at the same time during the approximately 2.4 or 2.5 window on the evening. So they're basically saying for 2.5 hours, both phones were together, and that they can tell this from like dropped calls and missed calls, but they can't search anything about the phone before that because they don't save that information for more than 7 days. Yay! Yes, thank you. I'm super excited about it too, you guys. I love being live. On 11:23, the day after he supposedly murdered her, Patrick makes an outgoing call to Kelsey's phone at 7:21 a.m., which is answered. The call lasts 310 seconds. As shown in the image below, both Kelsey and Patrick's phone utilized the cell site south of Patrick's home, as well as the sector which faces his residence. Given the path of travel of the phones from the evening of 11:22, it's likely both phones are still together at or near Patrick's residence. At 9:52 a.m., Patrick calls Kelsey's phone again, and both phones using the same tower and sector as shown. So he thinks he's being so sneaky, calling himself from her phone while he's sitting there with both phones in his hand, calling one, acting like he thinks he's so sneaky, but he never thought that both phones would ping from the same tower. You would have to be calling her sitting next to you, or maybe at the next door neighbors at least. So that would just mean that Kelsey's at your house. You didn't think that far ahead, did you? Wow. So I'm so glad they have this. What is the defense going to say about that? Ooh, ooh, ooh. All right, let's keep going. Kelsey's phone continued to have more RTT hits west of this area in the direction of Slagle's residence, similar to the activity from the evening before. Neither phone had any activity from 10:22 a.m. until Patrick's RTT data at 12:20 p.m. put his phone back in the same area. Over the following hours, Patrick and Kelsey's phones recorded RTT hits from various towers around Cripple Creek, Carson City, and the surrounding areas. At 4:40 p.m., Patrick called Kelsey's phone again, and the call lasted slightly over 6 minutes. RTT data places Patrick's phone 3 miles south of the tower in Florissant near his residence. However, no RTT information is available for Kelsey's. 8 minutes later, at 4:48, RTT from the same tower, but west-facing sector places Kelsey's phone 6.5 miles away from the tower. At 4:56, Kelsey's phone is 9 miles away from the tower and the sector, and 2 minutes later, Patrick's phone is 10 miles away from the tower and sector. Both phones continue to generate RTT hits in the 10-mile range until 5:15 p.m., wherein both phones began to head east. It is likely that both phones were traveling together throughout the day. There are no more records that can be mapped for this day. An attempt is made to call Frazee at 9:19 p.m., but it was routed to voicemail without any cell towers being captured in the records. That often occurs when a mobile device is turned off or otherwise out of a coverage area or network. So he hadn't got the phones to Krystal yet. He hadn't given her, because remember, she couldn't come until the next day. So she was over there cleaning up that mess. He hadn't got the phones to Krystal for her to take and destroy. So all this time, his phone is pinging on the same towers as Kelsey's phone. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, Jean. Hey, Muffy. Hey, Kunpu. Hey, Maria. Hi, Firefly. Thank you, Brenda. You're so precious. And then it goes into on the morning of 11/24, which is 2 days after the murder. The first complete call made by Patrick is to the 208 number at 7:23 a.m. The next completed call is from Kelsey's phone to Patrick's at 8:32, which lasts approximately 16 minutes. Both of Patrick's call, his outbound and his inbound from Kelsey, as well as Kelsey's outbound call to Patrick, all use the tower in fluorescent and the sector of that tower which faces Patrick's residence. Dummy. This is the same as the calls between Kelsey and Patrick on the morning of 11/23 and is likely that both phones are at or near his residence. Yep, that's music to my ears. Finally, some hard evidence instead of just what Krystal's saying. At 10:47 a.m., Patrick makes another outbound call to that 208 number. This must be Krystal's number. And it lasts 79 seconds using the same tower and sector near his residence. At 11:39 a.m., Patrick calls the 208 number yet again and speaks for 5.5 minutes using the same tower as before, but the southeastern facing sector. Approximately 15 minutes later, an RTT hit is recorded from Cripple Creek Tower, placing Kelsey's phone 9 miles north of the tower. 2 minutes later, an RTT hit is recorded for Patrick's phone off of the same Cripple Creek Tower, placing his phone 7.4 miles north of that tower. And that at 12:06, Patrick's RTT arc appears as shown above, and 2 minutes later, Kelsey's arc is recorded. RTT arcs continue showing both phones traveling west away from Cripple Creek Tower in the direction of Slagle's residence until 12:19 before appearing again and heading east at 12:41. RTT hits are captured off of this north sector of Cripple Creek Tower, showing both phones moving north, and at 12:58, RTT hits and are captured for both phones. Kelsey's phone is 7 miles north of the tower, while Patrick's phone is 7 miles north of the tower. And that it's further evidence of the phones traveling together, and RTT hits are continued to be logged back towards Patrick's residence, with the last connection with Patrick's phone at 1:05, 3.39 miles south of the fluorescent tower, and at 1:06 with Kelsey's phone, 2.7 miles of the same tower. At 1:06, Patrick makes an outbound call to the 208 number, which lasts for 160 seconds. He's like, are you talking to Krystal? I guess she's the 208 number. I don't think he'll walk either. Did I not show that? Okay, there we go. Yes, I don't think he will walk. Not after reading all of this. Let's see. And there's no more. Okay, so then there's no activity is seen after that call by either phone until 3:21 p.m. when Patrick receives an incoming call, which was routed through the south-facing sector of that fluorescent tower. And at 3:56, Kelsey's phone receives a call from Patrick and utilizes the cell site and sector which faces her residence. Patrick's phone used the same south-facing sector of the fluorescent tower to place the call. At 4 o'clock, an RTT hit is recorded for Kelsey's phone off of the same tower near her house, but southwest along Route 24. There's no more recorded activity for Kelsey's phone on 11/24. Because we know that's when he gave it to Krystal, and she took it and did what she did. Patrick's phone has no activity for approximately 1 hour before heading south towards Cripple Creek and again west towards Slagle's residence. At 5:51, Patrick's phone returns east towards Cripple Creek and heads north towards his residence. The last RTT hit for Patrick's phone was at 6:19, 2.8 miles south of the Tower of Fluorescent, but made and received calls until 7:23 from that same tower. The next connection for either phone is at 4:11 a.m. when Kelsey's phone has two RTT hits 5 minutes apart just over the border of Colorado into Utah, as shown below. There's no further activity until 7:40 a.m. and again at 7:48 when Patrick calls Kelsey's phone. Kelsey's phone utilized two different cell towers in the Idaho area. She had no activity until 4:52 p.m. local time, and then RTT hits began appearing around Wendell and Tuttle, Idaho. From 4:52 until 5:14, Kelsey's phone had over 30 RTT hits of 5 different cell towers and in the area. So this is indicative of her traveling back, Krystal traveling back with the phone. The last grouping of RTT hits for Kelsey's phone leading up to and at 5:14 p.m. places it at or near the Malad Gorge State Park and the associated off-ramp for I-84 as shown below. There's no phone with associated cell site information after this. So that's when she destroys the phone. Yeah, I just made you my first featured channel on my... Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Okay, so then there have been several inconsistencies between the information that Patrick initially gave officers and information obtained during the investigation. Oh. At 5:21 p.m., Patrick attempts to place a call to Kelsey, but it does not go through. Patrick's phone utilizes the cell tower in Fluorescent for that call. At 5:28 p.m., Patrick receives an incoming call from the Krystal, and the call lasts for 47 seconds. Open source database checks of that number reveal it to be associated with Susie something of Wendell, Idaho. As shown on the map below, her house is less than 10 miles from Malad Gorge State Park. While Patrick was in frequent contact with that number, there is no instance of Kelsey ever communicating with that number in Verizon records. This is when they find out about Krystal. On 12/12, CBI agent Slater emailed me the CBI lab results. The results show a DNA profile was developed from Kelsey's mouthpiece. The swab obtained from the suspected blood located on the toilet was a positive match to Kelsey's DNA profile. In addition, the blood being a positive match to the DNA profile of Kelsey, the sample collected from the wall behind the towel rack, side of the tub, and bathroom outlet had DNA from 2 contributors. A major one matched the DNA profile of Kelsey. The sample collected from the bathroom sink contained a mixture of 3 DNA profiles, of which one was from a male. On 12/12/18, a DNA profile of Patrick Frazee was developed and compared to the samples from the bathroom sink, and the results for the item are at least 14 times more likely if they are that it originated from Patrick Frazee and 2 unknown unrelated individuals than if they originated from 3 unknown unrelated individuals. This analysis provides limited support for the position that Patrick Frazee is a contributor in this DNA profile. Though there is support for the individual in conclusions of Kelsey's births, Clinton births, and Patrick Frazee, this DNA profile, these individuals cannot be present in the mixture together. On 12/12, the Woodland Park Police Department received via Facebook message a photograph of a Facebook screenshot. That screenshot contained the name of Sheila Frazee and was dated November 22nd. The picture below is what the police department received via Facebook. I can't tell what the picture. There have been The witch is dead. Wow, she posted, the witch is dead. Sheila Frazee posted, the witch is dead on November 22nd, you guys. I am not kidding you. Wow, you can't really see it. Let me see. But it's right here, and you can see when it was posted, and it says the witch is dead. And we all know that they did not get along. On 12/2, Corporal Corrine spoke with Patrick, and he told Corporal Corrine the last time he had contact with Kelsey was via text message on November 25th. He also told Corporal Corrine that him and Kelsey had grown apart, and the extent of their relationship was just their daughter. And let's see. On 12/3, Officer Huber spoke with Patrick, and he told Officer Huber that on the evening of 11/21, he and Kelsey spoke on the phone. Now, that's not what Kelsey's mother is saying. She said that the night before the murders that she stayed over at the ranch with Patrick till 4 a.m., and there's actually video footage of her coming in at like 3-something because she went to go get Patrick some medicine. And when she got back, she even Googled digestive issues and stomach ulcers. Patrick reported that Kelsey wanted to go their separate ways. Patrick also reported he picked up Kaylee on 11/22 in the alley by her residence. Patrick reported he and Kelsey talked on the phone Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So he said that he picked up his daughter in the alley in the back of the residence, but he is seen going to her door 11 times. And he is also seen going in with Kelsey when she was carrying in those flowers. Yeah, they probably do filter some comments, you guys. I'm sorry. Patrick reported he and Kelsey talked on the phone Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Patrick further reported on 11/25 he last received a text from Kelsey stating, "Do you even love me?" Patrick said that he responded to this text message, but a few days later received a notice that the reply did not go through. The RTT data indicates that Patrick and Kelsey's cell phones were in close proximity November 23rd and 24th. That's what we just went over. On 12/4, CBI agent Greg Slater spoke with Kelsey's mother, Cheryl, who reported the following information. Cheryl reported she last spoke to Kelsey on 11/22 at 9 o'clock in the morning, which Kelsey stated that she, Patrick, and Kaylee had gone out to check on a herd of cattle on 11/21. While driving back to Patrick's residence, Patrick became ill, requiring Kelsey to drop him off at his residence, picked up some medicine, took it back to Patrick. After doing so, Kelsey said Kaylee and her drove to Kelsey's home, arriving at 4 a.m. Kelsey further reported she, baby, and Patrick had plans to go out for Thanksgiving dinner. The conversation quickly ended. Kaylee's diaper needed to be changed. Cheryl told Agent Slater that at approximately 9:15, she called Kelsey back, and during that short conversation, Kelsey spoke about Christmas gift list and related items. Kelsey made no comments or statements to Cheryl regarding the dissolution or of the relationship between Patrick and Kelsey. Cheryl told Agent Slater that on 11/24, she inadvertently dialed Kelsey's cell phone and hung up before anyone answered. A short time after the inadvertent call, Cheryl received a text message from Kelsey's phone stating, "I'm tied up. I'll call you later." Cheryl stated she never received a return call or text from Kelsey. And we all know what happened from there. Hold on 1 second. Come on in. Come on. Come on over. You need a haircut, but we'll introduce you. Well, I'm not talking about too much crazy, and then you gotta go.
Hello.
This is my boy, you guys. He needs a haircut. He just woke up from a long nap. You okay? You do need a haircut. Say hi, I'm live
Hi.
on YouTube. This is Gage.
No.
Do you need something? Do you want me to get you anything? Okay. Well, you can go play on your phone.
It's not beside the bed anymore.
It's on the table, the kitchen table. And you close the door because you can't hear this kind of stuff that Mommy's talking about.
Okay.
Go back to the back farthest room. Love you. Love you bunches. All right. I am a highly censored person on the internet. I get most of my socials banned, deleted, and blocked. It's okay. You're fine. You are fine here. Let's see if any more reports are coming in. I believe, do you guys know if it's 2 hours earlier in Colorado than it is North Carolina? I'm not going to be for a little bit, so I'm going to have to lock my door. What do you need? Tell me what you need and I can get it done. Oh, well, turn the TV on. Turn your cartoons on. Get your phone off the table. And I'll be out in just a minute. Okay? I love you bunches. All right, let's do a little search. 15 minutes ago. Yes. Yes, we got some more details. We got some more details. All right, so she took the stand to tell her side. They rekindled about a year before Barrett was murdered. She previously told investigators about the horrific account of how she said Frazee told her he allegedly murdered the mother of his little girl. He told her that he killed her by beating her to death with a baseball bat. That after Frazee allegedly killed her, he called his former lover and told her that she needed to come clean up, and that she admitted to watching Frazee burn Barrett's remains outside of his home. She also said that Frazee asked her to kill the 29-year-old mother on 3 different occasions. First was including poisoning her coffee. And she said that she brought a poisoned Starbucks drink, but it wasn't poisoned. So she went as far as taking a Starbucks drink to Kelsey, you guys. And Kelsey even mentioned it to her mother that she got this random gifted Starbucks. And so I think that Krystal just did it to try to make Patrick think that she really did it. And then when Kelsey didn't die, Patrick knew she had lied. She said that Lee said Frazee claimed his daughter was being abused and that he wanted Kelsey not to be a problem anymore and he wanted her dead. She did cry on stand today, you guys, and she did recount how she became pregnant, and that's when he said that, are you a baby killer or not? She had also prepared divorce papers so she could be with him. So she was going to divorce her parent or her boyfriend, Chad, or husband, Chad, and be with Patrick when she got pregnant. But he basically told her he didn't want it. She said that she wanted to that he asked her to kill Barrett using a pipe at one point and another time with a bat. But each time she backed out. She testified that on Thanksgiving night, he called her and said that she had a mess to clean up. So, let's see where we are not caught up. We already know what his brother testified about him yesterday. We already know about the 11 images. And we know that he has pled not guilty. I wanted more details. Okay, so Krystal got pregnant with Patrick's baby, and when I think it was 2016, and Patrick told her, "You're either a baby killer or you're not." She went to him thinking he would be happy. She would get her divorce. They would live happily ever and have a family together. And when he responded the way that he did, she said it made her have an abortion. Krystal, the mistress of Patrick Frazee, said that she aborted Patrick's baby. So that's what she said. And I'm just trying to see if we have any updated stuff out for this case. Just checking. Yep. And he told his mistress that he told his wife that he blindfolded her on Thanksgiving. He is actually seen walking into her residence on surveillance with their child, and the mistress said that he told her that he blindfolded Kelsey. He told her to smell these candles, that they were mystery candles, and he wanted to know what she thought they were. And that as soon as she went to smell the candles, that he bashed her to death with a baseball bat while their 1-year-old daughter was in the home, you guys. And then he called the mistress. He told her to come clean up the mess, that she had a mess to clean up, because remember, he asked her 3 times to kill her and she wouldn't. She backed out every time. And so he killed her, and then he made her clean up the mess. And she cleaned up the mess so good that that when police came, when her mom and Kelsey's mom and brother filed a missing person report and they came to her residence, they didn't see any foul play. They didn't see anything was out of place. They didn't think anything was wrong. They did not come back until almost 10 days later, when her mom and brother moved into her condo to try to find her. They found blood spatter on the bottom of the toilet. So then they called the police, and they came back with CBI and all of those people to do further investigating. And that's when they found blood everywhere. So let me just get that on pause. All right. So now they're saying she's already explained all of that to investigators, but she was on trial or on the stand today, and she continued to tell her story for several hours. And she talks about how they rekindled. He tells her that he killed his wife by beating her to death with the baseball bat. And then she tells on the stand that she watched Patrick burn Barris' remains outside of his home. And then he says that he didn't want Kelsey to be a problem anymore, and he wanted her dead, is what Lee testified today. She also gave a detailed tear-filled account of how she became pregnant and how Frazee asked her if she was a baby killer or not. And then there's not really a whole lot more than that. You would think there would be more. I need more. So he's evil and Kenny's no better. She's lucky they needed her testimony to nail him. She gets off real light. Yeah, but the problem is if the prosecution tears up her testimony and they pick it apart, and she's not going to get that deal anymore. If they lose this case and Patrick goes scot-free, she is going to be put on trial for this. So she's walking a tightrope, that's for sure. That is for sure. And at least she was smart enough to get a lawyer. I always wondered why Nicole Kessinger in the Watts case never brought a lawyer to any of her interviews. So I know I want her to be charged as an accessory too. I feel the same way. And when he asked her 3 different times to kill his wife, she could have went and done something about it, but she chose not to tell. She chose to even go as far as giving her a coffee, a caramel macchiato. And the reason why Patrick asked her to poison her coffee is because Krystal is a nurse, and he knows that she has access to those kind of medicines, like strong fentanyl, morphine, all of that. So he played her like a fiddle. I'm telling you, he played her hardcore. I mean, she put up with his crap for 13 years. She even went on and got married and still would drive down and see this guy in Colorado from Idaho for 13 years. He even threatened to, he gave her a dog before she started dating, or when she started dating her former husband. And when he found out about her boyfriend or whatever, he told her to break up with him. And when she didn't, he said that he wanted the dog back and that she needed to either pay him or give him the dog back. And when she refused, he threatened to kill the dog. He threatened to drive from Colorado to Idaho to kill the dog. And so she should have known right then and there that he was a nut job. But instead, she continued to see him. She got pregnant with his baby. He asked her to abort it. And she still kept seeing him. So, yeah, he asked her 3 different times to kill her. Once with poison, once with a pipe, and once with a baseball bat. And she even went as far as bringing a baseball bat from her home to Colorado, and then she backed out and said she couldn't do it. And then he told her, well, I guess I care about Kaylee more than you do. And if something happens to Kaylee, then it's going to be on you and all of that. And she fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Yep. Sure enough. And then no cameras are allowed in the courtroom. He was smart enough to do that, or whoever made that call. No cameras are allowed in the courtroom, nothing like that. That's why we got to wait every day for updates, because we can't even see his movement, his actions, nothing. It is a juror of 7 women and 5 men, and he made eye contact with each and every one of them. And in his pre-trial, he came in his regular old orange jumpsuit or whatever color it was. And now he's dressed to the nines, you guys. He's all looking sharp. Yep, she's a nurse and an ex-rodeo queen, as Nancy Grace said in her podcast. She's a former Miss Rodeo Queen. So, yeah. Crazy. And she acts like she is telling everybody that she left that blood there on purpose to have him caught. She is acting like a hero. Mm-mm. No, honey. No, no, no. She's basically getting away with it. She really is getting away with it. Y'all thought NK was bad. That's still all speculation. And this is full-on admittal of watching the body burn. And she isn't going to spend 1 day in jail. The maximum penalty she'll get for tampering with evidence is a year. I mean, no, 3 years. Sorry, she'll get 3 years. That's the maximum penalty. But her lawyer is documented saying when the police came to find out what she knew and what Patrick had told her, she her lawyers stopped her before she started talking and said, listen, she's not going to say another word unless you can promise her 0 days in jail. So, and I know they can't promise that. They can't. I mean, they don't know that they can charge her with a lesser charge, but they can't promise. They don't know what a judge is going to do. They can't say. They can tell you what your minimum penalty and or not even the minimum. They can just tell you what the maximum penalty of that charge is. And you'll either get that or you'll get off with a slap on the wrist. So, yeah, she did not tamper with the body. She's saying she didn't touch the body. She tampered with the blood and the evidence in the apartment. She is saying that Patrick removed the body after he did it in this black tote, and the black tote is seen on surveillance in the back of Patrick's truck in one position going one way and in another position going another way. So she had nothing to do with the body. She just tampered with the evidence in the home. So, and there, from what I researched, the maximum penalty for what she did is 3 years. Maximum, not minimum, maximum. So, yeah, she just went and cleaned up all the blood and all the stuff. And she went as far as buying a hairnet to make sure that she didn't leave any hair follicles behind. She bought booties to make sure there was no fingerprints. I mean, this girl acted like she's cleaned up a murder scene before. I follow Avery case. Specialist said no way possible to burn a body in an open container. Why they use closed container for cremation. So another lie. Well, she's saying that he put 5 gallons of gasoline on it. That's why. I mean, that's what they're saying. I believe you definitely, but Krystal's saying that the body burned because he kept pouring 5 gallons. He poured 5 gallons of gasoline. No, she didn't tamper with the dead body. She just it was 3 years. I said 1 year on accident. It's 3 years for tampering with evidence. But no, there's a lot of years when you tamper with a dead body. She wasn't with him when he killed her. He tried to get her to kill her 3 different times. One time with poison or coffee, another time with a pipe, and another time with a baseball bat. And she brought her own bat from her home to Colorado because she lives in Idaho. But she wouldn't do it. She chickened out every time. So he got mad at her, said he'd have to do it himself. And then after he murdered her in her home, he murdered Kelsey in her home on Thanksgiving with his daughter in the home and her daughter. And Krystal did not come to clean up the mess until the next day. She couldn't get away on Thanksgiving, but she came the next day on the 23rd and cleaned up the apartment. But the dead body had already been moved out of the apartment. And I guess she's saying after they cleaned up that she watched Patrick burn the body. And evidently he burned it in a trough or something and on the farm. His mom owns a 35-acre farm. Yeah. It's sad, pitiful. Ugh. Another and he did this on November 22nd, and Chris did what he did in August. So it's sickening. It's absolutely sickening how these men can think that they can just get away with killing their significant others, their baby mamas. Like, wow, you have to be some kind of sociopath, some kind of narcissist, some kind of just whack job to think that you could do that and get away with it. And with this mistress being so involved in this, it makes me wonder more about NK being more involved. I just don't understand at all. I'm so lost, and I want answers, and I want people to give them to me. I get obsessed with these things. I just want to know. I just want to know. Krystal Kenny explains. Famicide. Yep, definitely. Yeah. He is facing 8 charges, and that includes, let's see, first-degree murder, tampering with a deceased body, and solicitation of murder. He pled not guilty to the charges, and Kenny took the plea deal and pled guilty. And the prosecutors called Frazee a calculated manipulator, but the defense said that the facts don't make sense. So trying to see something. Timeline of events leading up to and after Kelsey Bear's death. They showed the cell phone records being, showing that both phones are in the same place. Every time you see Patrick's phone move, that her phone moves, Kelsey's does. Mm-hmm. Then it says, Krystal Lee, the woman who told authorities that Frazee asked her multiple times to kill Barrett, demanded that she clean up the mess. She was brought to the witness stand at 11 a.m. She is the state's key witness. She appeared tense. She wore a sweater with a collared shirt and had her hair in a braid. Let's see, know Krystal that well, but I think it's often the case that someone like him has great control and is highly manipulated to the point where she feels unable to say no. Yes, we've all been in situations like that where we have been persuaded to do something by someone we love, whether it might not been on a scale of doing something like that, but even doing something sexually we wouldn't want to do, or doing something that comes out of our moral compass, or something we're not comfortable with. Men and women have bent their own ethics to appease their significant others. So you're absolutely right. That's what's so crazy. These women, you could be you, or these men are psychos these days, and the side piece co-sign their craziness. So crazy. Yes. Yes, true crime addict. Exactly, Brenda. Killing children too. What's going on in this world? Exactly. Well said. Yes, girl. Yes, I agree. You're so right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, so when the lead prosecutor asked Kenny, she said she lived in Hanson, Idaho for 10 months, and she grew up in Idaho, she said. She met Fraser at that county dance I was telling you guys about. Oh, it was at the fair, the county fair, while working at a guest ranch in Lake Georgia. She said she was only 20, and he was tall and handsome and a pretty good dude. She said she visited him in Colorado 10 times that year, and they talked on the phone almost every day. They took weekend trips since she was in nursing school and working 3 to 4 part-time jobs. Kenny said she would drive to see him often, but there were times when he wouldn't call her for days at a time, and we went over that. The last time she came to visit was August of 2007. That month is when he asked her to go pick up some things for him on his property. While she did so, she said it was not pleasant. This was not expanded upon. Okay. Between that day and a few months later, Frazee called her and wouldn't answer, she said. At one point, she caved and talked with him, and while they remained friends, they didn't talk often. She says in 2007, Kenny started dating another man named Chad. That's when she started dating Chad. Kenny said Frazee knew about Chad because he had the password to her voicemail and had listened to one of Chad's messages to her. She said she couldn't remember why she gave Frazee her voicemail password, if it was because he asked for it or if she wanted him to see her as loyal. In December 2008, Frazee said he wanted to buy her that border collie, that dog I was telling you about. He said he had bought a dog in Texas that came with a puppy and he didn't want it, so he offered it to her. Kenny says she knew he raised them along with other ranch animals, and when she went to Colorado to pick up the dog, Frazee told her she had to make a choice between him or Lee. And she said at the time she knew he was dating other women. She said he told her, you can't ride two horses at the same time. You need to make a choice. Oh, he is a pig. He is such a pig. I agree with you there. So the prosecutor asked why Frazee would believe he was one of those horses, and Kenny said he would probably tell that he could probably tell she still had feelings for him. She said through tears on the witness stand that she never felt that kind of chemistry before, and that he had never told her how he felt about her. At that point, he hadn't. Yeah, me too. Me too. That Patrick told her to make a decision in March of 2009, but Kenny decided to stay with Lee, and he knew about her relationship with Frazee when they started dating. Okay, so she said she was honest with Chad about Patrick. In April of 2009, Frazee called asking for payment on the puppy he'd given her previously in December. So we're talking January, February, March. 4 months later, he calls and asks for the puppy. He said that the mother dog was going back to its owner in Texas. And when Kenny didn't send a check, he called again in May and said that he told her if she didn't send money, he'd come and kill the dog. She said she started crying on the phone because his comments upset her. They didn't have much contact after that, she says, and that in 2010, she got engaged to Lee, and right about that time, Frazee phoned her, where she apologized for not sending the check, but explained that she was mad at him for not keeping his promises. She said that he told her then that they'd be done if she sent the money to Frazee. So she said, I didn't send you the money because I didn't want to be done with you. That if I sent you the money, then I would just be totally done with you. She didn't hear from Frazee again until October of 2010, and that was the day before her wedding that he left her the voicemail saying, don't get married, and she should have to, that he should have come to rescue her. She also said that while she didn't call him back, she felt conflicted, that she felt like she made the right choice with Chad, but her heart was still in love with Patrick. Yes, I agree. She started to cry on the witness stand today, and Frazee looked straight down. She went ahead and married Chad. Krystal said she didn't hear from Frazee until 2013 or 2014. He texted her, and around that time, she sent him a message asking how he was doing. By that time, she had had a son in 2012 and a daughter in 2014. When the daughter's name was mentioned in court, Frazee looked up at Kenny. Kenny said the next time she and Frazee spoke to one another was when she visited the Western Stock Show in 2013, but she said the messages were brief, and she said that they did not talk for a while after that. Kinney says that she had not seen Frazee in person since 2008. She told the prosecutor that she and Frazee did not speak over the phone until 2015, when she and her husband were having difficulties in their marriage. She texted Frazee while she was at a nursing conference in Texas, and Frazee told her that she should call him anytime and that he'd love to hear from her. So after, she said they began to talk frequently, and she planned trips to Colorado to see family and friends. And she called Frazee on one of those trips in 2015, and he asked her to come look at some heifers, which are cows, you guys. And they met up at a gas station in Florissant to do so. She said it felt like they picked up where they left off. There was nothing that changed, that she was giddy. And she told the court that she acknowledged that she still had feelings for him. And he told her that he felt the same way and that they both grown up since they were last together. Krystal told the court that the two had an affair on that visit, which happened around October of 2015. They continued to talk over the phone, she said, nearly every day. And she said they continued to see each other, and she visited him a lot, and that he encouraged her to get a divorce. She said in February of 2016, she asked an attorney to draw up divorce papers and told Patrick about it. She said he discussed wanting to have a family together and talked about her being the one that got away. She said that she had some reservations because of their relationship with her husband and that she was not convinced he wouldn't cheat on her. Big time loser. But she did not file the papers at the time, despite Patrick's encouragement. That in March, she learned she was pregnant and that Frazee was the child's father. She testified on that today. She said she thought it would make him happy and that it didn't, and that she was worried about having a child out of wedlock. She said she asked Frazee what to do, and he responded, "I guess you're a baby killer or you're not," hinting at an abortion. She said that she cried at Frazee's reaction, but went through with the abortion. She told Frazee she had a miscarriage, and she told him she'd filed divorce papers, but worried about her other children. She eventually filed in May of 2016 after speaking more with Frazee, but testified Wednesday that she had no reaction, that they didn't talk again until October 17th. In late October 2017, Frazee texted her asking if she still liked her kids. She said he then called her and they spoke for 2 hours. Wow. Who asked that? In late October 2017, Frazee texted her asking if she still liked her kids. She said he then called her and spoke for about 2 hours, but she said he mentioned nothing about having a child or his own or about Barrett. But she said she felt happy to reconnect with Patrick and they began to talk again. Why would you begin to talk with a man that texts you, "Do you still like your kids?" Like, he's obviously crazy to be asking you that. Of course you like your kids. Why are you having kids if you don't like them? Was he not liking his? Was it something that he was feeling that he was projecting on someone else? I don't know, but she eventually filed in May of 2016 after speaking with Frazee, but testified Wednesday that she had no reaction. In March 2018, she testified that she came to Colorado and met up with Frazee to shoe horse and look at a land. They went to dinner afterwards. Krystal said at no point did Frazee mention his daughter or Kelsey. She returned to Colorado again, and at the end of June, she went to meet a former coworker and eventually saw Patrick, but he blew her off at first before answering a call to his landline, at which they agreed to meet up so she could help him fix a fence. While they were doing so, she testified he mentioned how nice it would be to have a son to help. And at one point, he handed her a baby wipe, which to blow her nose, though she thought little of it. She went and had a meal with one of her former bosses, who asked her what she thought about the fact that Frazee had a daughter. She said she testified that her jaw hit the floor as she described how great of a dad Frazee was, and about how Frazee didn't have help. But Kenny said she didn't verbalize the surprise she felt, as no one was aware she and Frazee were talking. So she finds out through a former boss that Frazee has kids. She had no idea. Evidently, she was just finished helping him fix a fence, and he was asking her how it would be nice to have a son to help. And at one point, he handed her a baby wipe, which she blew her nose. Now, she said it didn't register that he had a baby, but why would a man be carrying baby wipes? So after a meal with her boss, she left Frazee a message saying the meeting had gone well. He called her back and they talked about ranches and children, though he again did not say anything about his daughter, is what she testified. The court then went on a lunch break. Kenny's testimony is expected to continue Wednesday afternoon. And prosecutors decided in July not to file a motion in pursuit of capital punishment, meaning Frazee will not face the death penalty in this case if he is found guilty. Live tweeting and live reporting is not allowed in the courtroom, and the trial is expected to last 3 weeks. Well, still, we don't have anything that we didn't already have, you guys. I want to know what happened after court. After the recess. After the recess, y'all. I guess I'll go, and then when it does update, I can come back. Let's see. Okay, let's see how I can. Okay, let me sign off and I'll go take care of that because I don't know how to take care of that on here. I'm so sorry. Let me take care of it, okay? I will come back. I think if I block her, she won't be able to post comments, right? How do I don't know how to block her in here. Okay, let me just end this and I'm going to go delete all that stuff. I don't care. You earned the award. You earned it, honey. I said I wouldn't block you for no reason, but you definitely earned it, okay? All right, be proud. I'm going to end this broadcast and go block her or him or whatever.